Hi guys, Big Monday here, and today we have another low MMR replay coaching. This is a Reddit request. This was by Cryptic Defiler. In-game name is a meat bicycle, and this game he played Anti-Mage. So I wanted to look at this game to sort of assess the fact that by end game you had an insane amount of 500 last hits is really, really good. You obviously know, you've obviously got the farming patterns down, but you still lost this game. And while the enemy team does have quite good late game as well, so it could go either way. It's kind of, there's a lot you could have done to come online earlier, I feel, in this game. And there's an axe in lane, and he's a big part of the reason I picked this game, because with an axe in lane, I know it spammed quite a lot at low skill levels. People spam axe, and a lot of players have trouble dealing with it. So I thought, well, let's take this game, because if we can get you to deal with this lane better, then you'll come online sooner, and with your ability to farm, if you can come online sort of 4 or 5 minutes sooner, you will destroy this game. If we take a look at the gold graph, you had quite a slow start. Part of that is down to your teammates. You had an invoker sharing farm with you, and part of that is down to just some of your own mistakes. So if we can fix even half of that, and sort of boost your early gold graph to make your hero come online a lot faster, then you're going to win a lot more games. So let's switch into the game. So first off, looks like you have boots queued up, and I'm going to just fast forward a little bit. Looks like you have boots queued up. Starting items are okay. Let's just talk a little bit about countering axe first, actually. So first thing you're going to need to counter axe, you're going to need 3 things. Firstly, you're going to need some extra regen. You don't need to bring it with you, but you need to plan ahead that you're going to need some extra tangos before you run out. The next thing is you're going to need a stout shield. And the third thing is an awareness of creep waves when fighting axe. So we'll talk a bit more about that with some situations when we get up to that. But I just wanted to put that out there first off. There's those 3 things. But so let's take a look at what you're going for first. You've saved a lot of your gold. I don't think that's too bad. But you're queuing up boots. And I think your early items are a big problem in this game. I think you should really be going Quelling Blade first. I mean, if you're good at last hitting with Anti-Mage, kind of okay. I really feel you should have been able to sort of trade for that and steal it. I think you took Mana Break for the extra damage.
The battle begins.
I think that's a tiny mistake though. I don't want to get on that too much, but you could have stuck around and traded with him a bit more, and maybe tried to steal the rune. Right now, you should be running back to block the creeps. If you don't know how to block the creeps, go into a bot game and just literally spend 10 minutes practicing blocking creep wave after creep wave after creep wave. You can take a look on YouTube. There's loads of people giving guides. There's 2 ways to block it. Keep hitting the halt key, which I believe the default is H. Will stop your hero where he stands. That's one way to do it. The other way is to run side to side in front of the creeps. You see pros generally use a combination of the 2. But go into a bot match. It's something that you're never going to get good at. It's something you're never going to get good at just doing, trying to do it once per game. But once you've gone into a bot game, spent sort of 10-15 minutes practicing it, you get much better at it, and then the once per game is good enough for you to not get rusty at it. So it's definitely worth doing. So what we're looking for here is, as soon as you can afford the Quelling Blade, really you need to be going in the side shop and getting the Quelling Blade. Because you only have 51 damage. You're going to struggle. Right, that is one of the exact moments with the creep wave where I think you need to pay attention of. This point here, where you're standing under a creep wave with an axe, is really, really dangerous. What makes axe powerful is when he gets counter helix, he can do loads and loads of damage to you with Counter Helix. But in order to do that, he has to get the creeps to hit him. So what he's done here is he right-clicks you. Once he's right-clicked you, all your creeps hit him. Now they proc his Counter Helix, and it's those Counter Helix procs that really do the damage to you. His right-click doesn't do that much. So what you have to watch with Axe, and you need to be aware of, is how many creeps you have, and if he's going to come into range and and he's going to right-click you while he's near your creeps. Now, in order to counter Axe, a big part of it is just to learn how to play and learn when to trade with him. The best times to trade with him are when you have just one or two creeps, so you don't have many creeps around. You still have a creep wave, so it's easier to back out if you can, so if you need to. But when you do trade with him, he's not going to get as many Counter Helix procs because there's only sort of one or two creeps hitting him. Let's just continue this a little bit. I mean, thankfully you reacted fast enough there to sort of back out before you took any serious damage. But you really have to keep, when you're playing against an Axe, you really have to keep awareness of the creep wave, of your own creep wave, not just the enemy. And I know in the previous video, I made a big point that the guy in the previous video, he nearly died to a double wave of the enemy creeps. In a lot of cases, awareness, a lot of low-level players really struggle with awareness of the enemy creep wave when they want to trade with someone. And in your case, when you're playing against an Axe, you need to have awareness of your own creep wave. So points like let's just rewind it a little bit. So like here, you want to be getting ready to come and start right-clicking him. These two creeps are about to die. He doesn't have that many of his own creeps for much longer. And now you've only got one creep. So you could trade with him. You're not going to take too much damage from creeps yourself because you have a stout shield. You know you're going to get some extra regen, so you can take a little bit of harass. But now is the point where he's not going to do massive amounts of damage to you. So now is the point where you can come in and right-click him. And with the extra damage you get from Mana Break, you're going to do huge damage to Axe. But I think we'll see that in a moment. Again, you are standing under your creep wave. Axe is now looking. He's right-clicking you right now. All your creeps are turning to attack Axe, and he's going to get Counter Helixes off. You see how much damage you deal to him though when you hit him? So just replay that. When you do actually hit him, you do quite a big chunk of damage. It's just that you need to time that so that you're not going to take a load of damage from Counter Helix. Again, I just point out as well, we are nearly 2 minutes into this game. You have 0 last hits. 0. I mean, this is not acceptable. Partly, you could do with a little bit of practice last hitting. I mean, it's certainly possible to last hit consistently in this lane. But you need this Quelling Blade. Big time. It needs to be something you get as soon as you have the gold for it. And that guy is a kill right there. You should be able to kill him. Taking Blink second was kind of perfect. Right, so here's another mistake you've made. You bought a Quelling Blade from the base, and now you're going to have to get a courier to bring it out to you. In this game, you actually didn't get it until you're really far into the game. The thing is, if we look back, you could have had a Quelling Blade at like 30 seconds into the game by just walking into the side shop and buying it there. Now, if you'd have bought it in the side shop, you'd have about 8 more last hits right now because the extra damage you have. Maybe you struggle a little bit. You only get 4, and you'd be most of the way to your boots right now. Just if you'd walked into the side shop at 30 seconds into the game and bought your Quelling Blade. But now you've got the item you really need right now sitting at base. So Axe is looking pretty low now. We could really get an opportunity to kill him. Again, now is a good time to trade with him. You've only got 2 creeps. You're not going to take much damage from his creeps because you've got a stout shield. Haha, you're muting your team. That's not a good sign.
First blood.
First soul.
So just fast forward. Right, so Axe just wasted his Berserker's Call. Again, that gives you another pretty good opportunity to go on him. A big damage reduction when you want to hit him. But what I'm waiting for here is you to hit level 3.
Dyer's bottom tower is under attack.
There we go. Right, you just skilled Mana Shield. Spell Shield, rather. So Spell Shield, that's going to give you an extra 20% resistant against magic damage. Now, let's consider for a moment how much magic damage is in this game. So Legion Commander has Overwhelming Odds, which she's not skilled, and you're not laning against her. All her other stuff is just sort of, it makes her right click better. Let's have a look at PL. PL does a little bit of magic damage with his Spirit Lance, but it's not really about the damage, it's about spawning illusions, and he doesn't really do any other magic damage. Axe, the only magic damage he has is Battle Hunger, deals hardly any damage as long as you get a last hit, and as an anti-mage, you should be able to get a last hit pretty quick, so this should be doing virtually nothing. His ult is magic, but it kind of doesn't count because it has a kill threshold, and usually he's going to be using it when you're below that threshold. So really, it's not magic damage; it's a fixed amount of damage. Shadow Fiend's got a pretty decent amount of magic damage with Shadow Raise and his ult, but again, you're not laning against him. But if we really take a look at what you're taking damage from in this lane, it is Counter Helix, which is pure damage, and it is going to be Purification, which is pure damage. Now, at some point, you're going to end up fighting the Shadow Fiend, and Spell Shield is going to be really good. But as it stands at the moment, before you skill Spell Shield, just take a moment to think, what damage do these guys in lane have? Is it physical, is it magical, or is it pure? Now, if it's physical or it's pure, you might as well not bother leveling Spell Shield. Now, because of Mana Break, you hit Axe really hard. If you take another level of Mana Break, you hit even harder, and you're going to have a much easier time killing this guy or chasing him out of lane. With the Omni Knight is reliant on being able to cast his heal to trade better with you. So what he's going to do is he's going to want you to be hitting him point blank range, and then he pops his heal to do pure damage to you. If you burn his mana, he can't do that. So you've only got to hit this guy. Let's see how much. Level 2. 40, removes 40 mana. So this guy, he's got 260 mana. So you hit him 6 times, he can't cast spells at all. In fact, this takes 85 mana, so you're only going to get him down to 80 mana. You only need to burn 140 mana. You hit him 3 times, he can't do anything to you. So consider, before you level Spell Shield in the laning phase, think about what damage you're actually taking. And in this case, Spell Shield is doing nothing for you. You would be much better off taking an extra level of mana break, or if you're in a lane where you needed to be more defensive, you could take an extra level of blink for the extra escape, because Spell Shield's doing nothing, basically. See, again, look at this moment. There are only 2 creeps. Now, most low-level players are afraid of an Axe because they have these games where Axe will stand behind the tower or Axe will come under creep wave. As long as you don't have a lot of creeps, he can't do massive damage to you. So at this point here, where you've only got a couple of creeps, you don't need to be scared. And that guy's bad, thankfully. Right, this where you're tanking creeps. It just makes me... for a moment, I'm going to take a moment to talk about what Axe will do a lot of the time. and when he's gonna creep skip. So creep skipping is where your axe will come down here and you will tank the creep wave. And this is a big part of why I said earlier that you need to get an extra set of tangos pretty sharpish. You need to be aware, even before your tangos run out. So like when you've got one or two tangos left, you get more tangos brought out. Because if your axe is brave enough, or he thinks he's got a big enough advantage, he's going to come and stand here, and he's going to creep skip. Ooh. And if you don't react to that properly, you're going to end up behind in levels, you're going to end up behind in gold, and you're going to take massive damage to your tower, and they're going to take the tower early. So, there's a couple of ways you can react to it. You can get your team to react, and you get people with good spells to come and kill the axe. Failing that, as a core, what you can do is make sure you've got a stout shield, make sure you've got plenty of tangos, and you literally just stay here and tank the creeps. Because the reason an axe will get such a big lead on you when he does the creep skipping is you run away. You run away, he gets XP and you don't. You don't get gold. He gets all the gold from the creep wave because he gets, by tanking it and killing it with counter helix, he gets all the gold, so he gets a massive gold advantage. He gets a massive XP advantage. And what you'll find is if you just sort of stay here, use your stout shield and extra tangos to just tank a couple of creep waves, what you'll find is eventually he starts to get low from the creeps because they're still dealing damage to him. He starts to get low from the creeps, so that then he just has to back out and leave. And as long as you've tanked those couple of waves, you still got all that gold, you still got all that XP. But if you try and fight the axe when he's tanking a whole creep wave, he's going to do massive damage to you with counter helix. You can't fight him. So just tank a couple of waves. It's usually worth it. I mean, ideally, you want people who can deal with axe to rotate. But unless you've got somebody who's got really good spells to deal with axe, then it's going to be difficult. So as a core, that is a good way of dealing with the axe. It's not ideal to be spending extra gold on regen, but if that's what it takes to make sure you get your XP, then that's what you do. And you'll find if you do that, you won't end up miles behind the axe. He won't snowball, and you'll be able to deal with him quite easily. Again, we are now 4 minutes into the game, and you are missing the Quelling Blade you could have had at 30 seconds.
Healing and power. Come and get it.
Okay, what you've just done there is you're arguing with your team, and I'm going to do a video on this just purely focusing on attitude. When you shout at and get mad at and rage at your team, what you effectively do is you put them off playing. Effectively, you cost them MMR by making them lose concentration arguing with them. If you're not happy with the way your team are playing, what you really need to do is ask them to do what you want. Let's say, somebody buy wards please, or can you come and harass this axe, or stuff like that. Even if they don't, just let it go. Because doing this puts your team off, and it effectively lowers their MMR. I mean, Sir Action Tax did a video a couple of years ago about how, I think it was with Purge actually, how your attitude and your ability to help people concentrate can be worth quite a lot of MMR. And one of the things that keeps Sir Action Slax's MMR high is his ability to maintain his team morale even when it's going badly. Doing stuff like this has the opposite effect, and it effectively lowers the MMR of your team by a couple hundred points. Every time you do this, think of it as giving your team a 100 MMR penalty every time you do this in the game. It stops people being able to focus, so it makes them worse at the game. If you just didn't type anything, your team would play better. So please don't do this. I hope that explains a good reason why not to do this. I understand why you're mad. I mean, you picked first and then you ended up with 4 other cores, but you need to deal with that in a positive way. And you also need to remember that no matter how bad you think these guys are, until you climb that MMR and prove you're better than them, you are doing stuff that's equally as stupid as these guys. So if you're mad at these guys for, I don't know, picking 4 cores, or you're mad at them for the Invoker stealing your last hits or something like that, whatever they're doing that's bad, that's making you mad, you're doing something equally bad that might make them mad. And you need to figure that out. Well, that's partly why we're doing this video, to look at the things you're doing that are equally bad. In your case, you are... You have 4 last hits 5 minutes into a game because you didn't buy a Quelling Blade at 30 seconds into the game. And this is perfect. I'm really glad to see you doing this. This is exactly what you should do when you've got an axe. What a lot of people do is they try and fight him. And you should be chewing through tangos while you're doing this. Glad to see you getting the last hits. Right, so just a little note about last hitting under tower. If just the tower is hitting the creeps, melee creeps count 5 hits from the tower and then time your attack to land just after the 5th hit. Then you'll get the last hit. With range creeps, if you've got less than 80 damage, you need to hit them once before the... You need to hit them once early, then you count 2 tower hits, and then you hit them a second time after the 2nd tower hit. That's if you've got less than 80 damage. If you've got more than 80 damage, you just count 2 tower hits on the melee creep, and then you hit them. Learning to consistently last hit under tower will give you a big advantage, because in a lot of cases you'll get the wave pushed in by like a Darkseer or a Bristleback, or even a maybe pretty stupid Cottle, or an axe will push this in. Learning to last hit consistently under tower is something that, as an anti-mage, you can last hit consistently under tower. With a Quelling Blade, and maybe just an early stat item like a Ring of Aquila, which you're probably going to skip on anti-mage anyway, but even with just a Quelling Blade, you have enough damage and good enough a good enough animation to reliably last hit under tower. So take some time and practice that. Remember to count 5 tower hits for a melee creep, 2 tower hits for a range creep. If you've got less than 80 damage, you'll have to hit the range creep once before you go for the last hit. So again, this is kind of the best way to deal with axe. Just get a bit of extra regen, and at the minute, it would have been risky, but you could even have sort of blinked sort of here to salve, and then go back in, because the axe at this point. I go back a sec. So at this point, it feels scary, right? Because axe is not taking much damage because he's got Berserker's Call on. It gives him huge bonus armor. If I take a look, he's got 68% physical resistance. He's going to take hardly any damage from physical. This doesn't last long. So this moment feels scary because you're getting low, axe isn't. If I play this back, what you're watching for is there's a point here where his Berserker's Call. You notice you're not taking much damage either because the axe doesn't have a load of creeps. If there was lots of your creeps here to hit the axe, you'd take loads of damage and you'd die. But because you don't have any creeps here, it's very unlikely he's going to get a counter helix. Now, you can't just pray to Gaben and hope for RNG. So you do need to back out here a little bit, just in case he gets a lucky sort of double counter helix. But it's going to do 75 damage. You look at your health at the moment. You've got 264 at the moment. Let's just play this back. Now let's look at Axe's perspective, because I want to see this. You see this Berserker's Call? As it runs out, now he starts taking really good damage from the tower. So what you could have done instead is blink here, use your salve. Axe will probably stick around and try and fight you here. The only reason I'm saying use the salve is because he could get lucky and get a couple of counter helix procs, or it would be a close fight anyway if you just tried to fight him. But now he's taking tower damage, and every time the tower hits him, he's going to take a good chunk of damage. He takes like, if I go free cam and select the tower deals 110 damage. I mean, after reduction, it's going to deal like 80 to 90 damage to axe. Yeah, it's going to do about 90 damage to him. So if this tower hits him 10 times, he's going to be dead. Let's just watch as he backs out. Now bear in mind, you are low, so you did need to blink somewhere and use yourself. But you watch how low this guy is before he actually gets out of tower range. Let's go back to player perspective on the axe. Right, so he's on 460 health now. If we take a look at what you can do, you deal 60 damage per hit. Your mana break deals 20 damage per hit. So you deal 80 damage per hit. So if you hit this guy like 6 to 7 times, he dies. But if you'd have blinked here, what you usually find, because he started that fight ahead of you, is he will feel brave, and he will feel like, I mean, this guy was tanking tower because he thinks he can tank tower. You can take advantage of that, and as long as he's tanking tower, try and bait him into staying. Stick around. Don't run all the way out. I mean, you blinked all the way over here. If you just blinked here, you have enough time for your salve to go off, and Axe has got to run to you. You can use these moments to try and bait someone into staying. And if he made the mistake of running towards you, then he'd have taken like an extra 4 or 5 hits from the tower before he got out, even if he immediately realised his mistake and ran. What would have actually happened is, if you blink, say here, an Axe, and then salve, an Axe runs to you, you get at least half the healing before he gets to you and cancels it. At that point, you've got enough health to just stand there and fight him. But moving on. And it's not always a good idea to just go balls to the wall and pray for RNG, but you definitely could have abused it in that moment.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Again, there are no creeps. There are no creeps here going to deal damage to you. Hit the Axe. When there are your creeps, you can't trade with him. When you don't have many creeps, make sure you're hitting him, because that's how you outlane an Axe. So at this point, you've got your Quelling Blade. You're getting pretty much every last hit. This is why it was so important to get it at 30 seconds. Your boots you kind of don't need, because you can blink away if you get into trouble. You should have at least looked at that fight. I support you staying and farming, but you should have looked at a fight happening to see if there was an opportunity for you to blink in and kill someone. I mean, you have no idea. Let me just go back to that. Well, let's not go back to the fight, because he just... You can see by the way they come into lane that he did nothing, but you should have at least looked. You heard a fight happening, you need to look and see if you get an opportunity.
Bottom is missing. Bottom is missing.
So kind of perfect that you're going for a straight for Battle Fury, it looks like in this. You see this? You are last hitting almost flawlessly with the Quelling Blade. So basically, you missed about 6 minutes of farm because you didn't have a Quelling Blade. Now, if you'd had that right from the start, your farm would have been 6 minutes ahead of where it is. Which, if we go back and we take a look at the graph, so this is your farm. This is when you got really powerful. We go about 6 minutes ahead, so you would have been about here. So you would have been level with the... I can't believe Venomancer is farming the fastest in this game. Can't believe it. But your farm would have been about here. Your farm would have been level with this guy. So basically, if you bought a Quelling Blade, this game, you would have had the 2 highest net worths by sort of 18 minutes, 19 minutes, and you would have been about 8,000 net worth ahead of the enemy team. Whereas what actually happened is you were pretty much neck and neck. There wasn't much in it. But literally, if you'd have bought a Quelling Blade at the start, this game you'd have been like 8,000 net worth ahead. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. As it stands by the 18 minutes, you're about 1,000 ahead. Because you missed 6 whole minutes worth of farm by not having a Quelling Blade. Buy it in the side shop. First item almost every game. So I kind of want to get to a fight, but you're an anti-mage. You're probably going to spend most of your time farming. And clearly by the amount of last hits you've got, you know your farming patterns for jungling. I don't think that's a problem at all. I don't even need to watch to see you having 500 last hits. Your mid-game farming is clearly above most people at your level. Just your laning phase is terrible. And blink. Very nice. I was really hoping you would stun that guy. Not sure how your blink went on cooldown. I think you misclicked it. Let's just watch that back in slow-mo. Eat a tree while you're fighting. Good way to keep your HP up. You have tangos, eat a tree. This guy is backing out now. Now would be a good time for you to back off. Unless you really want to go balls to the wall on this. You really need to back off. What the hell is Axe doing? He's trying to creep skip. Okay. So you really needed to back off there. And I think you went to blink. Okay, for some reason, which eludes me, you did a really tiny blink. Okay, we'll skip over that because it's obvious you misclicked. You wouldn't have blinked right next to yourself deliberately. Everybody misclicks. There's no point analysing them to death. Right. This, coming back in, I really hope you die now. You deserve to.
Dominating.
Right, when you're against... When you're against an Omni Knight, what he wants is he wants to be in melee range of you so he can do a purification. When you're low like this, you are an anti-mage. You are melee. I think you realise, because I think you realise just as you get up to it that was a bad idea. I'm pretty sure I saw a hesitation. What you need is, you probably could have killed this guy as long as he doesn't have purification. So what you need to do, if you're going to play risky like this, is wait out the spells. Wait. While you're backing like this, think to yourself, what spells does he have that can kill me? Purification is the answer with Omni Knight. So if you stay here until after purification... See, if you were still standing here when he did that, you could run in, hit him and burn his mana before he has a chance to react, and then he doesn't really do much damage with his right click as an Omni Knight, so you could kill him. But running back in on 100 HP, or whatever you're on, yeah, running back in on... Yeah, it's going to be just over 100. Running back in on 100 HP is usually not a good idea. This is going to set your Battle Fury back another couple of minutes. In fact, if you farm as well as you did for the first 5 minutes in this game, it'll set your Battle Fury back another 10 minutes.
Double kill.
I like it.
Dire's
I like
top
it.
tower is under attack.
So Axe is trying this creep skipping again, and again, this is where you need to come and just tank the creeps under the tower to make sure that all Axe is doing.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
All Axe is doing is losing a lot of HP tanking creeps. Because you can't sacrifice this HP. You can't. Sorry, this
Dire's
this
structures are
XP.
fortified.
Just fast forward a little bit.
Dire's
I think
middle tower
we're
is
about
under
done now.
attack.
I kind of want to see a fight, but I don't think it's really relevant to this game. I think everything in this game was about you learning how to your items to let you last hit. Now, if you get a Quelling Blade and you can't last hit right from the start of the game with a Quelling Blade,
Dire's bottom tower
get a
is
Ring of
under
Basilius.
attack.
It gives you more damage, it gives you some armor, so it lets you trade a little bit better. But generally speaking, if you have... Looking at the way you last hit in this game, if you'd had a Quelling Blade right from the start, you'd have 50 last hits now, easy, maybe 60. Because you are last hitting quite well with the Quelling Blade. Just you needed it from the start. If you buy that 200 gold item right at the start, at the side shop, I mean, you don't have to buy it right at the start of the game on the strategy screen. You come to lane, you take one last hit, you get it from the side shop. By the time the creep waves meet, you've pretty much got enough gold to buy it. You buy that, you'd have had like 6 whole minutes worth of extra farm in this game, which would have mean you would nearly be finished your Battle Fury right now. Let's just fast forward until you get it. Let's take a look when you actually get it.
Radiant's middle tower is
If you
under attack.
looking at your last hit in, you would have had a Battle Fury by.
Radiant's Radiant's
If you'd have Quelling Blade from the start, looking at your last hit in, you'd have had a Battle Fury around 10 minutes.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
My thanks.
See, now you're having to back out because fights are happening. But if you got the Battle Fury earlier on, by 10 minutes, one, you'd be doing better in these fights. There's a good chance you might have got a kill on the axe, because it's a big amount of damage. And two, you could just back out to a jungle camp and kill a jungle camp instead of having to go back to base. Again, we're still waiting on the Battle Fury. 16 minutes,
Dire's
17
Radiant's
minutes,
middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are
18 minutes,
Radiant's bottom tower has been denied.
20 minutes.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Right, we've got it. We have the Battle Fury. And we're only 20 minutes into this game. And if you'd have bought a Quelling Blade right at the start of this game, you'd have had the Battle Fury at 10 minutes. So literally, you would have been 10 minutes ahead of your farm. The items you have now, you would have had at 10 minutes if you'd have bought a Quelling Blade in this game. That's it. That's a massive difference to your anti-mage game. So right, I'm gonna cut it there because I wanted this to be mostly focused on the laning phase and countering acts, because I know countering acts is a problem for a lot of players. So thanks for watching. I hope you find this useful. Make sure you watch the other ones. Join the discussion on Reddit. I'm gonna put a link in the description to the discussion, but I'm sure you're coming from there already, so you'll know where it is. Hit me a like if you found this useful. I really appreciate that, and subscribe to watch the rest of these go up. Most of these I do try and make them focus on stuff that's useful to all low skill players, not just stuff that's game specific. So please subscribe. I'm sure you'll find the rest really useful, and maybe we can get you up to high enough MMR that we send you off for some coaching sessions with Purge. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.